Ross Show. I am glad you are tuned in. And right from the start, I want to encourage you to be sure to go to my Substack. That is adrianross.substack.com. adrianross.substack.com. And there, I would like you to subscribe. There are various subscription options. There's a free subscription, there's a monthly subscription, there's a yearly subscription, and there is a gold subscription. I would love for you to commit to being a paid subscriber of this podcast, The Adrian Ross Show. But like I said, there are other subscription options. So that's what I want to say off the jump. Also, please make sure that you go to YouTube, and maybe you're at YouTube right now watching, but make sure you subscribe, okay? So that you don't miss a thing. You don't miss the Adrian Ross Show at all. So be sure to subscribe. Also, we have obviously the major podcast platforms where you are able to subscribe there, and you're also able to leave a rating, hopefully a 5-star rating, and write a review. Doesn't have to be anything long or anything like that, but I would appreciate that, a rating and a review, all right? And make sure, again, that you frequent Substack, all right? Frequent my Substack, adrianross.substack.com, because everything is right there in that platform. My column that I write, as well as this podcast at adrianross.substack.com. And additionally, on the homepage, there's a place where you can make a donation. It takes some stuff, some resources to be able to bring truth. And that's what I'm doing. I'm bringing truth. We know that there is a determination to silence voices of truth. And so your support is greatly appreciated. All right. All right. So now that we have that out of the way, let's jump into what we're talking about today on the Adrian Ross Show. I'm imagining that you are familiar with the town hall, the CNN town hall that former President Donald Trump did last Wednesday. Whether you saw it or you saw clips or you, like me, had access to the transcript, I'm imagining you are familiar with the town hall that former President Trump did with moderator Caitlin Collins. CNN town hall. You probably have heard all the hoopla post town hall. And that's what I want to get into today. And I want to get into the reason behind some of this response. Now, at my Substack, I wrote a column about this town hall afterwards. And I entitled it Reaction to Trump's CNN town hall reveals state of the media and more. Reaction to Trump's CNN town hall reveals state of the media and more. And I put reveals in quotations because, we really already know how jacked up the media are, but this really kind of zeroes in on some things. And that's part of what I'm going to be focusing on today. Now, the response has been rather fascinating. And I say rather fascinating only because we understand that the media are supposed to desire good ratings. I mean, that's part of the business, right? And we have heard that Trump's CNN town hall brought in 5 times the viewership, okay? That sounds like a win for a network, particularly CNN, which I don't think is oozing in ratings, right? But instead of CNN saying, you know what, mission accomplished, we heard from the former president and our ratings went over the top, we're glad about it. Instead of that, CNN is making comments about how upset people are and sort of backtracking on having Trump on the town hall, having it on CNN. Now, Trump has weighed in. on this situation. If you hear noise in the background, it's because my people, I guess, who do my lawn have decided to show up now. They usually come on Tuesday, but they didn't ask me. Here they are out there. And so you may hear the weed eater. Anyway, back to what we were talking about. So instead of being, wow, we've got the ratings and we're in the ratings business and supposedly in the news business, instead of that, no, they're coming out talking about Trump, talking about what a liar he is. And then other people are attacking the network for even having him on, which is absolutely absurd. Here is a former president of the United States. You are the media. Your job is to have a platform by which others can communicate, by which you share information, right? And then let the people hear that information and decide whatever they're going to decide before they go vote, right? But no, that's not what the media are about anymore, okay? And this is the point that I want to make. The media is supposed to be about putting out the truth. There's a reason that former President Donald Trump calls CNN fake news, or as they used to call it, the Clinton News Network, because obviously it's a far left propaganda outfit. It's just the truth. Okay, so Anderson Cooper, the anchor, came out and he had quite a bit to say because he's been dealing with people who are complaining that they would even have Donald Trump on the show. People like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Representative AOC, as she's known. She's whining and complaining. And actually, let's just look at what she had to say concerning them having former president on the show. She says, CNN should be ashamed of themselves. They have lost total control of this, quote, town hall to again be manipulated into platforming election disinformation, defenses of January 6th, and a public attack on a sexual abuse victim. The audience is cheering him on and laughing at the host. That was one tweet. She also tweeted, "This falls squarely on CNN. Everyone here saw exactly what was going to happen. Instead, they put a sexual abuse victim in harm's way for views. This was a choice to platform lies about the election and January 6th with no plan but to have their moderator interrupted without consequence." So she's saying CNN should be ashamed. Why should the media be ashamed? Because CNN decided to moderate a town hall by a former president. I thought that's what the media are supposed to do, right? But they should be ashamed that they veered away from the Democrat plantation and allowed him to speak. So they should be ashamed because really, why should they be ashamed? Let me tell you what the former president weighed in and said, okay? He said via Truth Social on Sunday, all right? He said, in all fairness, nobody had any problems with what he wanted to do until after the show started, when they quickly realized that Miss Collins was not exactly Barbara Walters or even close, okay? So here's the point. Nobody had a problem with having Trump on there when they thought that Trump would be taken to the woodshed. But when Trump handled Caitlin Collins as well as he did, which everyone seems to be saying he did, it was a win for him. After that, now everybody is all up in arms that CNN even gave him an opportunity to speak to the American voters. Now, let's be real here. Just as Trump is saying, had Caitlin Collins had her way with making Donald Trump look like a fool, Nobody would, AOC wouldn't be saying anything. They would be applauding CNN. They would be giving CNN an award because CNN had handled Donald Trump well. We know that's true. I think back to Katie Couric when she had on former Governor Sarah Palin. There was that she got some award for the way that she handled situations, which we could get into how the nonsense regarding that. But, you know, if they had thought that Katie Couric fell short of doing what they wanted her to do, they would not have applauded her. She would have suited them just fine. And in this situation, because Donald Trump handled Caitlin Collins well, all of a sudden, CNN, you know, you're horrible, you should be ashamed of yourself. Or as the feminist pro-abortion group called Ultraviolet said, the CEO of CNN should actually get the ouster. Okay, so this is what Ultraviolet said. Let's take a look at this. Let me find this so that I get it exactly right. Here it is. We're calling on CNN to fire CEO Chris Licht, who knowingly broadcasted lies and conspiracies on national television. So you need to be fired, CEO, because you had on someone who managed to look good and he had lied. You determine what the lies are. And so since you determined that he's lying, you should be fired, you know, because you chose to give him that platform. And this is the scary part. And this is why I beg you to know what's going on yourself. There are too many people who are willing to just feed off of what the media will say for the media's agenda. If you think that the media are in the business of just reporting news, if you think the media are all about, hey, let's be that platform of information, which we're supposed to be, if that's what you think the media are all about, then you are mistaken. That's not the role of the media these days. The media have an agenda, okay? And then when that agenda has been thwarted, then they're calling for heads to roll. Trump says, okay, he did an interview with an outlet called The Messenger, and he says that CNN, should be absolutely glad that the network got the ratings that he gave them. Like I said, 5 times, okay? He said he was amazed to see the network was traumatized by the event. They should have taken those winnings, meaning the ratings, and just been glad. And that's, you know what, he's a businessman, right? And that's a businessman understands that you create a platform for truth, yes, supposedly, and also you're trying to dominate in the business. And so you want ratings, which he brought to them, okay? But instead of that, this is how scary it is. The situation we're in this country, and why it's important that we do our research, do our due diligence, and not be just sheep who just let people feed us anything. Because they're saying they would rather not have the ratings. They would not rather have a platform given to a former president. Why? Because their agenda is larger than that. They want to influence in a way that the media are not supposed to influence. Of course, we know the media are powerful, and this is an example of that. They would rather flop than allow the truth out there. Or if it's not the truth, still, your job is to allow that person to speak, and then what? And then the people can decide. But no, that's not the day and age we're living in. Do you understand what that means? That means so much. So let's just take a look or listen, if you're not watching, to what anchor Anderson Cooper said following the town hall, because all the hoopla, right? Because the axe is coming down from people. So this is how he handled it. Check it out.
Many of you have expressed deep anger and disappointment. Many of you are upset that someone who attempted to destroy our democracy was invited to sit on a stage in front of a crowd of Republican voters to answer questions and predictably continued to spew lie after lie after lie. And I get it. It was disturbing. It was disturbing to see and hear that person refer to a black law enforcement officer as a thug, an adjective he used many times to describe black men, and call Caitlin Collins, the moderator, nasty, which is what he calls any woman who stands up to him. It was disturbing to hear him speak so highly of QAnon conspirators and insurrectionists who assaulted police officers in our democracy on January 6th. And it was awful to hear him spread ridiculous lies about the election. And it was certainly disturbing to hear that audience, young and old, our fellow citizens, people who love their kids and go to church, laugh and applaud his lies and his continued defamation of a woman who, according to a jury of his peers, he sexually abused and defamed. As good a job as Caitlin Collins did trying to fact-check him, it is impossible to fact-check fully because he lies so shamelessly. Now, many of you think CNN shouldn't have given him any platform to speak, and I understand the anger about that. Giving him the audience, the time, I get that. But this is what I also get. The man you were so disturbed to see and hear from last night, that man is the front runner for the Republican nomination for president. And according to polling, no other Republican is even close. That man you were so upset to hear from last night, he may be president of the United States in less than 2 years. And that audience that upset you, that's a sampling of about half the country. They are your family members, your neighbors, and they are voting. And many said they're voting for him. Now, maybe you haven't been paying attention to him since he left office. Maybe you've been enjoying not hearing from him, thinking it can't happen again. Some investigation is going to stop him. Well, it hasn't so far. So if last night showed anything, it showed it can happen again. It is happening again. He hasn't changed, and he is running hard. You have every right to be outraged today and angry and never watch this network again. But do you think staying in your silo and only listening to people you agree with is going to make that person go away?
So notice what anchor Anderson Cooper did. He's addressing that people are angry and people are disturbed, and he's agreeing that it is disturbing what Trump did with lie after lie after lie, according to CNN. And then he goes on, of course, to paint the former president as a sexist and as a racist, which of course is what the left always does and plays on emotions. And some people are foolish enough to gravitate to that, and they know that, which is why they do it. So he did that. And then he does something rather interesting, which I wrote about on my Substack, adrianross.substack.com. He says that, basically he would understand. You just heard it. I would understand if you never watch this network again. What kind of mess is that? Who says that? This is a business, right? I say it's an act of reverse psychology, because there's no way somebody's going to allow him to come out there and actually tell people, go somewhere else, don't watch CNN. The only reason you say that is because somehow you think the reverse is going to work, it's going to work in your favor, and then more people are going to gravitate towards you. Good luck with that, okay? So anyway, that's his response, because people are saying, hey, you need to fire your CEO. You should be ashamed of yourself. You're getting pressure from all over the place from people who know that Trump took care of business during that town hall and they don't like it. So he goes, he's a racist. And I can get more into that, because their idea of racism is what he's called people thugs. He's called black people thugs. Well, we should know Trump. He'll call white people thugs. Thug doesn't belong to a particular race. I'm going to get into that at another time. Why is it that Anderson Cooper thinks thugs only refer to black people? Anyway, we'll get to that another time. And obviously calling him sexist, etc. But I am in agreement with Trump. I believe that if they had absolutely done damage to Donald Trump, if he had not handled them so well, nobody would be opening their mouth saying that they should not have had him on. They would have applauded them. They would have said, this is what the media, when the media does the media's job, this is what happens. That's what they would have said. But you know what? The media are not doing the media's job. The media are doing a political agenda's job and failed miserably this time. It backfired. And their ratings were 5 times higher, and you'd think they'd take it and run, but they can't, because there's something more important than ratings. There's something more important than being a platform for information, and it's called pushing your political agenda. And I believe we all know that making Donald Trump look bad, making sure Donald Trump isn't elected again, is the agenda. But it backfired. Their plan absolutely backfired. So anyway, if you have not seen any clips, check some out. And then there's a transcript out there as well. You can go through. And AOC talking about Trump interrupting. Well, she's supposed to be the moderator. She did a lot of interrupting herself and correcting, or trying to correct. But Trump was well armed. He actually had some details with him, some facts with him that he ripped out, and was able to run that down. So fail again on the part of CNN. But you check it out for yourself. You check it out, and you be aware. Beware and be aware, because this is not about truth. Please don't come to me quoting CNN for what is true. Okay? The media have an agenda, and we saw it also with Tucker Carlson. As I said, there was a time, because this is a business, when ratings mattered, and that would have been the takeaway, right? It was a win for us, right? But just like Fox News willing to get Tucker Carlson out there because the new guard there, right, ain't feeling what Tucker Carlson is bringing. So they would be willing to cut ties with the #1 show in news, in cable news. Why? Because the agenda now is more important than both truth and ratings. So be aware and beware. The media are not your friend. That's why voices that are stepping aside from that, it'll be interesting to see what Tucker Carlson brings to Twitter. As you probably heard, he said he's going to bring the show to Twitter. It will be interesting to see what he does there. But that's why it's also important. I'm saying it again and again to support other voices. It may not be Tucker Carlson. I'm not saying it may not be Tucker Carlson. Yes, support Tucker Carlson. But in addition to those big voices, those big outlets, there are people like me who are out there who are working hard for truth. There are other people, citizen journalists, there are other podcasts, there are other people who are committed and have been for years. And we need to support them, where we just want to bring what is true, and we are going to counter the lies. We're going to counter the lies. I had my blog that I had after the 2008 election was the first blog I had. It was called Motivation Truth, because that was my motivation, the truth. Okay, and I know this leftist agenda ain't interested in truth. And so, yeah, I am willing to counter that. I'm absolutely willing to counter that. And so I ask for your support. So would you again go to adrienneross.substack.com. I don't just speak, I also write. I speak. I want to stand for what's true, and I want to push back on the agenda to absolutely destroy our culture and our society. And so I ask for that support. I ask for your prayers. And don't be fooled by the media. The media has an agenda, and it ain't to do the right thing. Most of the mainstream media there, I feel confident that I'm speaking the truth when I say that. And they're more important, that what's more important to them would be their agenda, as we can see in this Trump and concerning the Trump town hall. All right. So thank you for tuning in to the Adrienne Ross Show. Just a quick hit here. I am fired up. I am fired up about this because it's obvious and it needs to be called out. That's what I do. All right. So thank you for tuning in to the Adrienne Ross Show. Again, would you go to adrienneross.substack.com and support there? Also, remember, go to the BMG Network. That is thebmgnetwork.com, and check out the other podcasters there. We are engaging, enlightening, informative, yes, entertaining. All right, so go there, go to a major podcast platform, and make sure you subscribe, leave a rating, leave a review. I will catch you next time on the Adrienne Ross Show. Share with somebody in the meantime. God bless you.